If you're like me, your garden means more than just a patch of land. It's a peaceful spot where you can breathe, reflect, and enjoy life's simple pleasures. But let's be real, gardening isn't as easy as it used to be. Kneeling for too long, the knees definitely complain. Bending over to plant, the back lets us know about it later. And garden supplies? Prices have gone through the roof. You don't need deep pockets or endless energy to keep a beautiful, thriving garden. After years of digging, planting, and figuring out what works, I've learned that the best gardening tricks aren't the ones you buy. They're the ones you repurpose, reuse, and discover along the way. Today, I'm sharing 15 of my favorite free gardening hacks. These are simple, practical, and designed especially for senior gardeners who want to make gardening easier, save money, and still enjoy every moment outside. Welcome to AgeWise. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Turn cooking water into a free, nutrient-packed fertilizer. Here's a little secret most gardeners overlook. Every time you pour leftover cooking water down the drain, you're throwing away a free, natural fertilizer. That water, especially after boiling vegetables, pasta, or eggs, is packed with nutrients that plants love. Instead of wasting it, you can use it to give your garden a healthy boost without spending anything. The process couldn't be easier. After boiling vegetables or pasta, let the water cool completely. Make sure it's unsalted because salt can harm plant roots. Once the water is at room temperature, simply use it to water your plants. The nutrients left behind from cooking, like calcium, potassium, and magnesium, are exactly what plants need for stronger roots and healthier growth. Started doing this after realizing how many nutrients were going to waste in my own kitchen. One afternoon, after boiling potatoes, I let the water cool and poured it onto a few potted plants. Within a week, I noticed greener leaves and more vigorous growth. The improvement was so obvious that I never went back to draining cooking water. Again, vegetable cooking water is especially rich in minerals that boost plant health. Carrot water contains beta-carotene, which supports photosynthesis. Water from boiling spinach is full of iron. Each batch of cooking water offers something unique, giving plants exactly what they need to thrive. Even the water from boiled eggs has its benefits. It's packed with calcium, which plants use to strengthen cell walls. Calcium helps prevent common garden issues like blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. If you've ever seen black spots on the bottom of tomatoes, that's usually a sign of calcium deficiency. Egg water can help prevent that naturally. Steamed vegetable water is another great option. Because steaming uses less water, the remaining liquid holds concentrated nutrients. After steaming broccoli or green beans, I let the water cool and pour it directly onto garden beds. It's like giving plants a vitamin boost in liquid form. This trick also helps reduce waste. By reusing cooking water, you're making the most of ingredients you already have. It's an eco-friendly habit that supports both your garden and the environment. There's one important rule to remember: never use water that contains salt, oil, or spices. These additives can harm plants and disrupt the soil. Stick to plain, unsalted water for the best results. Next time you're in the kitchen, think twice before pouring that pot of water down the drain. Your plants will love the extra nutrition, and you'll love the savings. Sometimes the best gardening solutions are already right in front of us. Tip number 2. Keep your garden tools handy with a terracotta pot. Have you ever stepped into the garden, ready for a peaceful afternoon among your plants, only to spend half the time searching for your tools? I can't tell you how many times I've been prepared to trim a few branches or plant some seedlings, and suddenly I realize my pruners are missing. One minute they're right there, and the next they're nowhere to be found. You check the porch, look behind the flower pots, even pat your back pocket. Still nothing. It happens more often than I'd like to admit. Sometimes I've spent more time looking for tools than actually using them. Walking back and forth between the garden beds and the shed gets tiring fast. Digging through a cluttered toolbox just to find a pair of gloves buried under pots is frustrating. Sound familiar? Here's a simple trick that completely changed how I garden. The best part is that it doesn't cost a thing. All you need is an old terracotta pot. You probably have one sitting in a corner somewhere gathering dust. Instead of letting it go to waste, you can turn it into a practical and charming garden. Tool holder. Just place your essential tools inside the pot. Pruners, gloves, plant tags and seed packets all fit perfectly. Then cover the pot with a saucer. This keeps out rain, dirt and any curious critters that might wander in. With this easy setup, you have a garden toolbox right where you need it most. This trick makes gardening simpler, especially for those of us who don't want to keep walking back and forth between the garden and the shed. Gardening should be relaxing, not a scavenger hunt. Constantly bending down to dig through a messy toolbox can turn a peaceful day outside into a chore. By keeping everything in one easy-to-reach place, you save time, energy, and a whole lot of frustration. No more stopping what you're doing because your gloves or pruners went missing. You get to stay focused on what you love most. Watching your plants grow, feeling the soil between your fingers, and soaking up the quiet joy that a garden brings. Before you toss out that old terracotta pot, think twice. Put it to good use. Your back, knees and patience will thank you. You'll spend less time searching and more time enjoying the garden that brings you so much peace. Tip number 3. Give that old cake stand a new life as a bird feeder. Let me ask you something. Do you have old kitchen items just sitting around gathering dust? Maybe a cake stand from the days when baking was more common, or something you inherited but never really used. Instead of letting it take up space, why not give it a second life right in your garden? It's simple. Take that cake stand outside, set it up in a cozy corner, and fill it with birdseed. That's it. In no time, you'll have colorful visitors dropping by. Finches, cardinals, maybe even a bright red northern cardinal if you're lucky. Bird watching brings a special kind of peace. On mornings when the joints feel stiff and the body moves a little slower, sitting back with a warm drink and watching nature come alive can be the best part of the day. This little trick adds beauty and movement to your garden without any extra effort. So before you toss out that old cake stand, think again. Your feathered friends will thank you. Tip number 4. Turn an old trash can into the perfect raised planter. Let's be honest. There was a time when bending down to plant, weed or water wasn't a problem. But things change. The back doesn't bend like it used to, and the knees certainly let us know when they've had enough. That doesn't mean gardening has to become a struggle. There's a way to keep doing what you love without the aches and pains. Here's a clever solution that also gives new life to something you might have considered throwing away. If you have an old trash can lying around, you can turn it into a raised planter. It's the perfect height for planting without the need to kneel or bend over. The process is simple. Start by drilling a few holes in the bottom of the can to allow for proper drainage. This step is important because plants don't like soggy roots. After that, fill the trash can with soil and plant whatever you like. Herbs, flowers, and even small vegetables thrive in raised planters like this. This trick works wonders for a few reasons. First, it saves your back and knees by bringing the garden to a more comfortable height. No more crouching or struggling to stand back up. Second, it gives new purpose to something that might have ended up in the landfill. And best of all, it doesn't cost a single cent. Raised planters also have another hidden benefit. Because they're off the ground, they can help protect your plants from certain pests. Fewer bugs crawling up means healthier plants with less effort on your part. Plus, with better drainage and warmer soil, many plants grow faster and stronger. There's no need for expensive raised garden beds when you can repurpose something you already have. A trash can might not seem like the most glamorous container, but once your plants are blooming, no one will notice what's underneath. The vibrant flowers, fresh herbs, or lush vegetables will steal the show. So before you haul that old trash can to the curb, think about how it could transform your gardening routine. With just a few small changes, you can create a raised planter that's as practical as it is beautiful. Your back will thank you, your knees will breathe a sigh of relief, and your garden will continue to thrive. Tip number 4, grow more plants for free by propagating. If there's one thing every gardener knows, it's that you can never have too many plants. The more greenery, the better. But buying new plants every season adds up quickly. Trips to the garden center can be tempting, but the price tags can make you think twice. The good news is, you don't need to spend a single penny to expand your garden. There's a simple way to grow more plants for free, and it's called propagation. It sounds fancy, but it's surprisingly easy. Essentially, you take a cutting from a healthy plant and grow it into a whole new one. This trick not only saves money, but also helps you keep your favorite plants growing year after year. Here's how it works. Start by choosing a plant that you love and that propagates well. Mint, basil, coleus, and geraniums are excellent choices. With a clean pair of pruners or scissors, take a small cutting from the plant. Make sure it includes a few leaves and at least one node, which is where new roots will grow. Next, place the cutting in a glass of water. Make sure the node is submerged, but keep the leaves above the waterline. Then all you have to do is wait. After a little time, you'll start to see roots forming. Watching those roots grow can be surprisingly rewarding. It's like witnessing a tiny miracle right on your windowsill. Once the roots look strong enough, it's time to plant your new baby in soil. Give it a good watering and a spot with the right amount of sunlight. Soon enough, you'll have a thriving new plant that didn't cost you a thing. This trick is especially satisfying because you're creating new life from something you already have. If you're like me and love filling your garden with lush greenery, propagation lets you do that without emptying your wallet. Plus, it's a wonderful way to share plants with friends and family. Imagine gifting someone a beautiful plant that you grew yourself. Propagation also works as a backup plan. Sometimes a plant starts looking a little sad. Instead of giving up on it, you can take healthy cuttings and start fresh. It's like giving your garden a second chance. So next time you're tempted to buy new plants, take a look at the ones you already have. With just a little patience, you can turn one plant into many. It's simple, rewarding, and completely free. Tip number 5. Turn old jars and vases into mini greenhouses. Few things are more frustrating than an unexpected frost ruining tender seedlings. You plant early, thinking spring has finally arrived, only for a sudden cold snap to undo all your hard work. The worst part is that these surprises don't come with warnings, but you don't need expensive plant covers or fancy equipment to protect your plants. The solution might be hiding in your kitchen right now. Old glass jars and vases can work wonders as mini greenhouses. It's a simple, cost-free trick that keeps your seedlings safe when temperatures drop. Plus, it gives new life to glassware that might otherwise gather dust in a cupboard. Here's how it works. When frost threatens, take an old jar or vase and place it over young plants in the evening. The glass traps warmth from the soil, creating a cozy environment that shields seedlings from the cold. By morning, when temperatures rise, simply remove the jars and let your plants soak up the sunshine. This trick is perfect for gardeners who like to get a head start on planting. When spring teases warm weather, only to snap back to winter chills, these little greenhouses give your plants a fighting chance. You don't have to keep replacing plants that couldn't handle a cold night. Besides, protecting plants from frost, jars and vases also guard against strong winds, curious critters, and sudden temperature changes. The best part is that you didn't have to spend a single cent. You're reusing what you already own, saving money and reducing waste. Another bonus? Watching how the glass traps warmth and moisture is fascinating. It shows how plants respond when given the right conditions. If you enjoy observing how your garden grows, these mini greenhouses turn plant care into a small experiment. So before you think about buying plant covers or replacing frost-damaged seedlings, take a look around your home. Those old jars and Vases you thought had no use might become essential gardening tools. It's a simple trick that helps your plants grow stronger while saving you time, money, and frustration. Tip number 6. Give old plates a new purpose as plant sources. Let's face it, plant sources can be surprisingly expensive, and half the time they don't even do the job well. The terracotta ones soak up water and leave messy stains. The plastic ones crack after a season or two. Spending money on new sources that don't last feels like a waste, but there's a smarter, free solution that works even better. Take a look at your kitchen. Chances are you have a few old plates tucked away in the back of a cupboard. Maybe they're from an old set you no longer use, or perhaps they're mismatched pieces that don't see the light of day. Instead of letting them collect dust, put them to work in your garden. Old plates make excellent plant sources. Simply place them under your potted plants to catch excess water. Unlike terracotta sources, ceramic plates won't absorb moisture, so you won't have to deal with messy leaks. They're also sturdier than plastic alternatives, meaning they won't crack or break easily. What makes this trick even better is the charm it adds to your garden. Plates often come with unique patterns and colors that can brighten up your space. They give your garden setup a personal touch that store-bought sources just don't offer. You can even mix and match different designs for a playful look that makes your plants stand out. If you don't have extra plates at home, don't worry. Thrift stores are full of ceramic plates for less than $1. You can find all kinds of styles and sizes, giving you plenty of options without spending much at all. This trick isn't just about saving money, it's about finding beauty and purpose in things you already own. Instead of buying something new, you're giving an old item a second chance. And let's be honest, there's something satisfying about seeing your plants thriving on top of plates that would have otherwise stayed hidden. So before you head out to buy expensive plant sources, take a second look in your kitchen. Sometimes, the best gardening solutions are right under your nose. Your plants get the drainage they need, your garden gains a little extra charm, and you save money without compromising on style. Tip number 7. Transform your bird feeder into a pollinator watering station. Birds bring so much life and beauty to a garden, but there are other visitors that play an even more important role. Bees, butterflies, and other pollinators keep flowers blooming and vegetables thriving. Without them, a garden wouldn't be nearly as vibrant or productive. Yet on hot days, these little garden heroes often struggle to find safe places to drink. That's where this simple trick comes in. If you have a bird feeder that you don't use all year, you can easily transform it into a watering station for pollinators. This small change invites beneficial insects into your garden, making it healthier and more colorful without costing you anything. Here's how you do it. Start by cleaning out the bird feeder if it hasn't been used for a while. Then fill it with fresh water. To make it safe for bees and butterflies, add a few small pebbles or stones. These provide safe landing spots, allowing the pollinators to drink without the risk of drowning. This tiny watering station does more than quench their thirst. It turns your garden into a haven for creatures that work tirelessly to keep plants healthy. The bees will help pollinate vegetables and flowers, while butterflies add movement and beauty. The result: more blooms, bigger harvests, and a garden bursting with life. I still remember the first time I set up a watering station like this. It didn't take long before the first bee showed up, carefully landing on a stone for a quick drink. Soon after, a butterfly floated in, its wings glowing in the sunlight. It was like the garden came alive in a whole new way. This trick is especially useful during dry spells. Even a small amount of water makes a huge difference for pollinators. And since it uses items you already have, it doesn't cost a thing. It's a simple way to give back to the garden while reducing the effort you put in. If you've ever watched a bee hover near a plant or seen a butterfly glide past and wondered how to encourage more of them to visit, this is the answer. The Watering station becomes a gathering spot, bringing even more life and color to your garden. So next time you see that unused bird feeder, don't let it sit idle. Fill it with water, add a few stones, and watch how your garden transforms. You'll be amazed at the difference such a small change can make. Your plants will thrive, the pollinators will thank you, and you'll get to enjoy the peaceful hum of nature right in your own backyard. Tip number 8. Get free gardening supplies from your community. Gardening can get expensive. Between soil, mulch, pots, and decorative stones, the costs can add up fast. But what if I told you that you could get many of these gardening essentials for free? That's right. You don't always have to buy new supplies. Sometimes all you need to do is look in the right places. Many people give away perfectly good gardening materials simply because they don't need them anymore. Maybe they're moving, redoing their yard, or clearing out old supplies. Instead of letting these items go to waste, you can put them to good use in your garden. Start by checking local community groups. Online platforms like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or neighborhood forums often have free listings. People give away everything from extra soil and mulch to bricks, stepping stones, and even garden furniture. It's surprising what you can find when you take a few minutes to browse. I remember finding a stack of bricks that someone didn't want. They had remodeled their backyard and were happy to give them away for free. Those bricks became a beautiful garden path, adding charm and structure without costing me a cent. Moments like that make you realize how much hidden treasure is out there, just waiting to be picked up. It's not just about saving money. These finds come with stories. Each item you pick up from a neighbor's giveaway adds a bit of character and connection to your garden. Maybe those bricks were once part of someone's patio where they spent summer evenings. Now they're part of your garden path, leading to new memories. Sometimes local garden centers or nurseries also give away supplies. They might have broken bags of soil, plants that didn't sell, or pots with slight imperfections. Don't hesitate to ask. Often they're happy to let these items go instead of tossing them. This approach is practical and sustainable. By reusing materials, you're keeping them out of landfills and giving them a second life. You're saving resources while building a garden that's full of character and charm. So before you head to the store and spend money on new supplies, take a few minutes to check what's available around you. Browse those local groups, strike up conversations with neighbors, and keep an eye out for curbside treasures. You never know what you might find. Gardening doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes the best additions to your garden are the ones you discover for free, right in your own community. Tip number 9, refresh old garden decor with leftover paint. Over time, garden decorations start to show their age. The once vibrant garden gnome now looks faded and chipped. Metal flower pots begin to rust, and wooden planters lose their color. It's easy to think these worn pieces need to be replaced, but before you toss them out, consider this. With just a little paint, you can breathe new life into old garden decor. This simple trick doesn't cost a thing if you use what you already have. Most of us have leftover paint sitting in the garage or tucked away in a shed. Maybe it's a half-used can from a home improvement project or an old can of spray paint you forgot about. Instead of letting it gather dust, put it to good use. The process is easy. Start by cleaning the item you want to refresh. Wipe away dirt, scrape off any peeling paint and let it dry completely. Then grab a brush or spray can and get creative. Even a single coat of paint can completely transform a faded planter, rusty trellis, or chipped statue. The best part is that you don't have to be an artist. A fresh coat of paint can make a rusty planter shine, a dull trellis pop, or a worn-out statue look brand new. If you're feeling creative, you can add patterns or designs. Bright colors can add energy and vibrancy to the garden, while softer tones can create a calm, relaxing atmosphere. Not only does this save money, but it also keeps perfectly good items out of the landfill. You're giving new purpose to something that still has life in it. Plus, seeing your refreshed decorations back in the garden gives you a sense of accomplishment. It feels good to know you created something beautiful without spending a dime. I remember an old bird bath I had, the kind that had seen better days. The paint was peeling and the base had started to rust. I was ready to get rid of it, but I decided to try this trick first. After a few coats of soft blue paint, it looked brand new. Once it was back in the garden, it attracted more birds than ever. It became a favorite spot for feathered visitors, and all it took was a little leftover paint and an afternoon of work. So before you spend money replacing old garden decor, take a look around. Ask yourself if a splash of color could bring it back to life. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of creativity and a few supplies you already own. Your garden will look refreshed, your wallet will stay full, and you'll get to enjoy the satisfaction of turning something old into something beautiful. Tip number 10. Build a free bug hotel for a healthier garden. Not all bugs are bad. In fact, some of the smallest creatures in your garden are the biggest helpers. Ladybugs munch on pesky aphids, mason bees help pollinate flowers, and ground beetles take care of unwanted pests. These tiny workers keep your garden healthy, blooming, and thriving. But just like any good worker, they need a safe place to rest. That's where a bug hotel comes in. A bug hotel provides shelter for beneficial insects, giving them a place to nest and recharge. The best part? You don't need to buy one. With a few simple materials, you can build your own bug hotel for free. Start by gathering materials you probably already have. Sticks, pine cones, dried leaves, and small pieces of bark are all perfect. Even items like hollow stems, old twigs, and broken terracotta pieces can be used. Look around your yard or garden. You'd be surprised at how many useful materials are just lying around. Next, find a container. An old wooden box, a coffee can, or even a hollow log works well. Fill the container tightly with your natural materials. The tighter the fit, the better. Different insects prefer different spaces, so mixing up the materials creates a variety of cozy nooks for them to settle in. Once your bug hotel is assembled, place it in a quiet, shady spot in your garden. Somewhere near flowers or plants is ideal. The bugs will come on their own. Ladybugs will tuck themselves into the crevices. Bees might nest in the hollow stems, and ground beetles will make themselves at home among the leaves and bark. I still remember the first time I built a bug hotel. I wasn't sure what to expect, but after a few days, I started noticing more ladybugs in the garden. The plants looked healthier, and there were fewer pests nibbling on the leaves. It felt like I had created a little ecosystem, all with things I found around the yard. This trick isn't just practical, it's also a fun project. Watching which insects move in becomes part of the gardening experience. Plus, knowing you've created a safe space for these helpful bugs makes you feel more connected to the garden. Supporting pollinators and pest controllers means you won't have to rely on harmful pesticides. Your garden stays balanced, healthy, and thriving the natural way. It's better for the environment and better for your plants. So next time you see sticks and pine cones scattered around, think twice before clearing them away. They might just be the building blocks for a bug hotel that keeps your garden flourishing. Building one is easy, costs nothing, and makes a world of difference. Your garden's smallest visitors will thank you, and you'll enjoy the benefits all season long. Tip number 11. Turn eggshells into gardening. Gold. Did you know that something as simple as eggshells can be a game changer for your garden? Most people toss them without a second thought, but these little shells are packed with benefits. They're rich in calcium and minerals that plants love, making them a powerful tool for both seed starting and pest control. And the best part? They won't cost you a thing. Let's start with seed starters. Instead of buying plastic seed trays, you can use eggshell halves as natural, biodegradable containers. After cracking your eggs, rinse the shells and let them dry. Once dry, poke a small hole in the bottom for drainage. Fill them with soil and plant your seeds. Place the shells in an egg carton to keep them upright. As the seedlings grow strong, you can plant the entire shell right into the soil. The eggshell breaks down naturally, feeding the soil and providing essential nutrients to the roots. Using eggshells this way not only saves money, but also reduces waste. Plus, planting the whole shell protects delicate roots during transplanting. The calcium in the shell strengthens the plant's structure, helping it grow healthier and stronger. Eggshells are also a natural pest deterrent. Crushed shells sprinkled around the base of plants create a barrier that slugs and snails hate to cross. The sharp edges make it uncomfortable for these pests to crawl over, keeping your plants safe without the need for chemicals. This is an especially great trick for leafy greens, strawberries, and other plants that slugs love. I remember when I first tried this, I had a bed of lettuce that kept getting attacked by slugs. It was frustrating watching the leaves get chewed up day after day. I decided to give eggshells a try. After a few mornings of sprinkling crushed shells around the plants, the difference was incredible. The slugs stopped coming, and the lettuce grew lush and healthy. All thanks to something I would have thrown away. Another benefit of adding eggshells to your soil is that they help balance pH levels. Over time, they break down and release nutrients that improve soil quality, making it more fertile for future plantings. So next time you're making breakfast, don't toss those eggshells in the trash. Give them a rinse and set them aside. Whether you use them as seed starters or pest control, your garden will thank you. It's a simple, sustainable solution that turns kitchen waste into gardening gold. Tip number 13. Stop weeds the easy way with old newspapers. Weeding is one of those chores that never seems to end. You spend hours pulling weeds only to see them pop right back up a few weeks later. The constant bending, pulling, and digging can be exhausting, especially when your back and knees no longer cooperate like they used to. Fortunately, there is a simple and free trick that can save you time, effort, and frustration by using something you probably already have at home: old newspapers. Instead of relying on expensive plastic weed barriers or harsh chemical sprays, you can block weeds naturally with newspapers. They are biodegradable, easy to use, and excellent at stopping weeds before they start. Plus, this method gives those old papers a second life rather than sending them straight to the recycling bin. The process is straightforward. Begin by spreading sheets of newspaper around the base of your plants and across any bare soil where weeds like to grow. Make sure to overlap the sheets so there are no gaps where weeds could sneak through. Once the newspaper is in place, cover it with a layer of mulch. The mulch holds the paper down and adds an extra layer of protection while also helping the soil retain moisture. The newspaper works by blocking sunlight, which weeds need to grow. Without access to light, weeds cannot sprout, saving you from hours of pulling them later. Over time, the newspaper breaks down naturally, enriching the soil as it decomposes. The result is healthier soil and far fewer weeds with minimal effort. I remember the first time I tried this trick. After growing tired of battling weeds in my flower beds, I decided to give it a shot. One spring morning, I laid down newspapers under a fresh layer of mulch. The results were impressive. The weeds stopped coming back, the soil stayed moist, and the plants looked healthier than ever. I saved countless hours of weeding and enjoyed more time simply appreciating my garden. This method is especially useful for larger garden areas. It takes only a few minutes to lay down newspapers, and the long-term benefits are worth it. You will spend more time enjoying your garden and less time on your hands and knees pulling out stubborn weeds. Another benefit is that this trick costs nothing. Newspapers are easy to find, and many neighbors or local businesses are happy to give them away. Instead of buying expensive weed barriers that eventually end up in the trash, you are reusing something that breaks down naturally and improves the soil. Next time you finish reading the morning paper, don't throw it away. Take it outside and put it to work in your garden. Your back will thank you, your plants will thrive, and you will finally get a break from the never-ending chore of weeding. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective, and this one proves that gardening smarter does not have to cost a thing. Tip number 14, let your garden water itself with a simple plastic bottle trick. Watering plants every day can become tiring, especially during the hottest months of the year. On top of that, it is easy to forget a plant or two, only to return and find wilted leaves or dry soil. The good news is there is a simple and free solution that allows your garden to take care of itself. All you need is an old plastic bottle. This trick creates a self-watering system that keeps your plants hydrated for days without any extra effort from you. It is especially useful if you plan to be away for a few days or if daily watering has become too much of a chore. Here is how it works. Take a plastic bottle and poke a few small holes in the cap. The holes should be small enough to allow the water to drip slowly. Fill the bottle with water, screw the cap back on, and then place the bottle upside down in the soil next to your plants. Make sure the bottle is deep enough in the soil to stand upright without tipping over. As the soil dries, it will naturally draw water from the bottle, releasing it slowly over time. This provides a steady water supply, keeping the soil moist without overwatering. It is a hands-free way to ensure your plants get the hydration they need, even on the hottest days. I first tried this trick when I had to leave town for a few days. I was worried about my vegetable garden, especially the tomatoes that tend to suffer quickly when the soil dries out. Before leaving, I set up plastic bottles beside each plant. When I returned, the plants looked as healthy as when I left. The soil was still moist, and there was no sign of wilting. It worked perfectly. This trick is especially handy for potted plants that dry out faster than those in the ground. With the bottle in place, you don't have to worry about rushing out every morning with a watering can. The plants get the moisture they need on their schedule. It is also a great way to reuse plastic bottles that would otherwise end up in the recycling bin. Instead of tossing them, you are giving them a second life, helping both your garden and the environment. Another advantage is that this method reduces water waste. Because the water drips slowly and directly into the soil, there is less evaporation. Your plants get the water they need without runoff or unnecessary waste. Next time you finish a bottle of water or soda, don't throw it away. Turn it into a self-watering system and let your garden take care of itself. You will save time, conserve water, and your plants will stay happy and healthy even when you are not around. Sometimes the best gardening solutions are the simplest, and this one proves that a little creativity goes a long way. Final thoughts: gardening smarter, not harder. Gardening doesn't have to be expensive, exhausting, or hard on the body. With a little creativity, you can save money, simplify your tasks, and still enjoy the garden you love. Each of these simple tricks shows that the best solutions are often right in front of us. From turning everyday items into useful tools to finding free resources in your own community, gardening smarter means making the most of what you already have. Imagine spending more time enjoying the beauty of your garden and less time on back-breaking chores. Picture your plants thriving, your garden buzzing with life, and all of it achieved without unnecessary effort or expense. These tips make that possible. So which of these gardening hacks will you try first? Maybe you'll start with the self-watering bottle trick, or give your old garden decor a fresh new look with leftover paint. Perhaps you have your own favorite gardening secrets. If you do, I'd love to hear them. Share your thoughts and ideas, because gardening is always better when we learn from one another. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, gardening is not just about plants. It's about creating a space that brings peace, joy, and satisfaction. You are never too old to grow something beautiful. Happy gardening, and until next time, keep enjoying every moment you spend with your hands in the soil and your heart in nature.